Round 22, the Scoopman is here. We've had him each and every week. It's been the best. So thank you very much for joining us again late at night, mates. And how are you doing? And we got over 1,000 this week.
Woohoo! First thousand for the year, I think. I
Yeah.
was sitting on exactly 1,000 after like the first set of updates. So I'm like, don't you do it? Don't you take it down? But yeah, it was a big week headlined by Mr. Chin, who flew through for a lovely 112. But yeah, um, plenty of good stuff happening. But yeah, didn't dodge enough low ones, unfortunately. Talagi and Fainu in the 20s. I could have looped them in the end, unfortunately. So lost out of maybe 30 points there. Otherwise, not too bad of a round.
Yeah, what are you doing? You're not weren't concentrating in the loops?
Yeah, Talagi, I picked up the fact that the Storm players would go really good against the Eels, but then for some reason didn't realize that, yeah, Talagi's going to get strangled to death. Why? So yeah, but he's been doing well up until now. But yeah, he's been scoring a lot of tries as well. So
That's
yeah.
fair. That's fair. Well, good to see you actually got some a nice score out of Clear anyway after holding him for so long.
Yeah, he's just been like number 22 in my team.
Yeah, God. God, God, God. But yeah, Nicaragua 32, Watson 40. That Watson one's frustrating. Nicara's kind of, copped some good ones from him before that. How good's Carraz and Whiten? That's a cracking center pairing.
Oh, so good. Whiten has probably been just about the buy of the mid-season. He's been very, very good.
Yeah, well, he was early 400s. So he's probably gone up a couple hundred K, which has been
Yep.
incredible. And even AFB in the recent sort of 3 or 4 weeks has been awesome as well with a couple of tries. So yeah, good little collection of scores there, mate. But just yeah, as you said, copped a few of the lower ones, just like myself, to be in the early thousand, which ended up, I lost a few ranks. You gain a couple, not too many.
Yeah, I think probably par for holding rank at a decent rank is probably between 1,025, maybe a little bit higher than that, 1,050-ish. But yeah, there were some monster scores last week as well, and they did pretty well. If you managed to miss Garrick, and I had a couple of mates who looped him, you were happy days.
Yeah, yeah. So a few people that they looped him. That's impressive. That's impressive.
Yeah.
A few people that missed both of them, but they're like, yeah, but I missed his good scores and I missed Cotter's good scores, and yeah, so it all swings around. But mate, let's go through just top to bottom, hooker all the way through to wing fullback. Your two best guys to own, the best scorers you think they'll be. So out of the hookers, who would you want right now for the rest of the season?
If I had free pick of any hookers for the end of the season, I think it's really hard to go past you read Marnie, Damien Cook at this point. Like Harry Grant's had a good one, but yeah, he's just hasn't quite worked out for him this year as much, and he's had that sort of sternum issue a little bit. But yeah, Marmazelis has dropped out of the team as well this week,
Mm.
so Damien Cook might get that 80 minutes in the run home where we're a little bit worried about it moving forwards. But yeah, so Damien Cook, Reed Money, just the guns. I would have said Connor Watson easily the top
Oh,
until the last couple of weeks, but yeah, he's still good. Still good.
yeah. I think Harry's probably like third on my list. I reckon I've got. I
Yep.
really like Little going towards the rest of the season, which
Yes,
would be
I
fun.
I would go close to putting him fourth as well.
Yeah. So Little, Cook, probably Reed are the sort of three there. Harry, we just don't know what we're going to get. I suppose you could say similar to Reed in the last few weeks, but he was super consistent before that. That's for sure. Let's go on to the mids, mate. Who are the two mids you'd want for the run home?
Well, Adden at his price, if you don't have him after a couple of down weeks, Tohu Harris out for the year, a couple of other things. Other than if you have a lot of trades, he's great, but he misses round 27. That's the real kicker. So if you have him, I would probably have him as one of the three guys to have. But yeah, it's hard to sort of bring him in with knowing that you're missing him in that last round of the year. So I would say Haas is going to be real good to own. Don't know if I'd rate him as the tip top, given that he's heading straight into a buy very shortly. Yo just seems to be the one to go for at the moment. I've seen like Cotter to Yo or Curran to Yo being floated by quite a few um, of some of my mates in fantasy circles, and it does feel like a bit of an upgrade, especially if they're going to miss a game or have sort of injury niggles.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, the Isaiah Jovis Payne Haas one's pretty tough. All right, if you had a little less money in your bank, you've got Murray, you've got Tarpanet. Who would you pick out of those? And then Carrigan. Who would you pick out of those three?
Harrigan's had a fantastic year this year, but he doesn't score quite as well with Haas. I would be tempted to go Murray. To be honest, if he didn't have quite as much money, it'll be very interesting to see how him and Kolomatangi thrash out together, to be honest.
Yeah, especially with Mamazelis off the bench, hey, it probably hurts a little bit. Someone noted that in the YouTube comments, so thank you for that. Definitely might hurt him a little bit, but I'm not expecting Colin Matangi to play the 80 anymore. Do you agree with
Mm.
that?
Yeah, the reasoning behind getting him or having him was for those Origin weeks, and he would score good while Murray was out. And then Murray was gone a couple of extra weeks because he fought people on the sidelines. So Kolomatangi's gone off and away, been fantastic. But yeah, I mean, you've got an Origin lock coming back into the team, and he's not playing. He's not named at lock. You've got to expect he's going to play there at some point, and
Mm.
Kolomatangi's going to either move or go off.
Yep, makes sense. In the edges, it's for feeder and who, right? If you had your choice, I think the big question here for me is if you don't have Angus Crichton, do you go for him this week or do you wait until after their bye? And then do they even rest their players in that sort of second to last or last round? That's a big question there.
I I guess it depends on where are on the ladder, to be honest. If they're confident that they can finish top two or close to top two, they might. But like if they're out of the race for the top two, but still solidly in top four, I would see very strong chance that he gets rested again.
Mm.
If there's a risk that they drop out of the top four, I'd say they'll play. So it's really tough to sort of nail down. But yeah, if there was no buys, no worries, I would pick Angus as number two. Um, Mitch Barnett is horrendously expensive, but
Yeah.
great, but also has that late buy. It's tough all around. I'd say Colin Matungi's sort of up there, and then you've
Mm.
got Eliezer Katoa in a storm that's revving up for the run home. So yeah,
That's fair. If you had that type of money there, it's Hudson Young, it's Katoa, it's Preston. Where do you rank Preston in there as a potential buy this week?
tough to sort of nail him down. But if the Bulldogs are going to attack well, and boy oh boy, that was a great performance this week to announce
Yeah.
themselves as a decent contender and give it a little bit of a shake. Um, if he's going to get those base stats from last year plus some attack and a couple of tries, like that's not a bad option, to be honest.
Yeah, for sure. He seems to be in and around it, doesn't he? Like he's got a bunch of tries earlier on the season there. He had a double in one of them, back to back tries before that. He's getting a couple of line breaks on the weekend. So he's in and around a lot of it, which is great. He really only, the two games before he just had base and didn't play the full 80, and it's still sitting around
Yeah.
that 50 mark. So he's a fun guy to own. All right, into the half position. So Cleary, must have this week. Do you just have to get him in if you didn't?
It's pretty apparent at this point that there's nobody else in the comp at the moment that can do what Cleary's doing with Hines on the sidelines. It's just he's number one. A lot of people that didn't go Cleary captained Haas last week and were pretty happy with that score until Cleary beat it by 40.
Yeah,
So we know that Payne Haas is great and probably just about the best mid, but you have those two elite guys for a reason, and Cleary's the only one there. You just put the captaincy on him and forget about it for the year.
definitely. It's a pretty tough position, this half one. There's a lot of guys that they could probably all average the same, or with 6 rounds to go or 5 rounds with a bye, they could be 10 to 15 points difference. And we've seen that with DCE last year. He has a bye this week, but as someone to look at next week, you've got guys like Burton, Campbell, Hughes, Fogarty in there. If you're still holding Galvin, you might have Dylan Brown. So many different options and different guys that can score well or have a bit of a shocker. Where would you go this week? Or would you wait until the DCE next week?
I think if you're not set on halves for the year yet, you should have try and have a look at Fogarty because his base is just incredible. He's like Sean Johnson from last year, and the Raiders look pretty good with him in the side. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if he's the number two half for the run home. Um, we look at his kick meters last week, 591. That's basically 23 points, and that's not out of the ordinary for him this year.
Yeah.
So I really think that he's a very strong option as the number two. If you have like a Jerome Hughes or a Dylan Brown in your team already, I don't think you need to chase it
Hmm.
because they'll average probably 50-55. And I don't think it's as important to chase a 5 point upgrade there as you might, for example, this week with the Garrick out, getting somebody who's going to average really well in that position, like a Ponga this week, instead of playing a 30 pointer like Tulagi, for example, to cover Garrick.
Yeah, definitely. Fogg's an interesting one. He's gone back to back 28 tackle games for one miss for the year. They're his highest of the year and his lowest missed tackles as well. So maybe that, yeah, well, that he's averaging 68 for the last two games too. So maybe he misses a couple more, makes a few less, and probably sits in that early 60s. But someone mentioned to me, mate, that their run's fairly difficult. So Dogs, Manly, Cows, Penrith, Roosters, in terms of him potentially be able to get some goals and try assists. So at worst, what do you reckon he knocks him back to maybe a 57, 58, where he's averaging for the year anyway?
I think that's pretty accurate. If anything, that just makes him do really long bombs. Like Moses, when he played the Panthers, did that incredible a
That's
thousand
right.
meter kick meter game basically. So I don't think it'll be as high, but I don't think the drop will be massive. I think the base stats will remain pretty good.
It makes sense, isn't it? If they're not making too many meters, if they're not making errors, then he gets to have those long kicks, which is really cool. I reckon the second interesting position is actually center. It's one where look, it might end up averaging out the same again. You could get enough from a Carraz and an Iro or something like that. But you've got guys like Val Holmes, Hammer, Dane Gagai, Dylan Lucas, Zach Lomax, Manu. There's so many different guys, Herbie as well, both are more. They could all do a really, really good job. Which two would you look to have for the back end if you had unlimited trades?
Not gonna lie, I would really love to punt on Dane Gagai right now with Kalen Ponga back. That just seems like it could be something that turns into a 55 average.
Hmm.
It's hard to pick because this is a position where you do factor in runs home. You've got your outside backs who focus on attack. You want them to be getting that attack with that easy draw. So Kraz is good, doesn't have a bye, but a decent chunk have him. Zach Lomax is also good, but they're all going to sort of average about that 50 mark. You sort of have to look for somebody who has the potential to average more than that if you want to bring them in over some of these guys who might already have. So I think like your guys, maybe Hammer potentially if there's a couple of different options you can go for.
Yeah. Yeah, this is probably one to be looking at that run and you go, after this week, if you could wait one more week and then launch into Tigers, Sharks, Rabbitohs, Titans, Dolphins, and then maybe he could average 60. And that's probably what you're looking at. Like Carraz's draw's pretty
Yes.
good. Lomax has opened up a little bit, but his team's struggling a bit more. So probably just basing it a little bit more off how well the team might go. Hey, because a night's going to actually explode now that Pong is back and the draw gets nicer, or will they still be just average? So there's lots of things to think about. Hey,
Yeah, well, there's a few things changing. Like Hastings dropped across on there.
yeah,
The shape of the team will be different, and it's either gonna work out really well or not at all.
yeah, 100%. And then the wing fullbacks, mate. Similar question to the Crichton one. If you don't own Teddy yet, which I think close to 30%, 35% of the top 1,000, 5,000 don't have him yet, would you still look to target him, or would you go a bit cheaper, wait for Ponga, go Ponga this
I'd
week?
I'd probably wait, given that he's just so much and has a bye and might get rested. Like you've got other Roosters that there are potentials, and there are other guys in the position who can sort of do a job. But yeah, when you're paying that much for somebody who might miss a few weeks and also is inconsistent, well, potentially a more inconsistent position, I should say,
Right.
it's really tough to bring him in. If you got heaps of trades, heaps of money, sure, he's the best wing fullback option probably. But there seems to be a lot of value in going those guys that are a bit cheaper with potential to do very close to that, like your Ponga.
Basically him, isn't it? Because the rest of the guys are fairly expensive. You could go Manu, but again, a
Yeah.
buy next week. So with Ponga at 688, we know what he can do. Hey, he's like the ultimate upside guy. If he gets that goal kicking back and
Yes.
starts, the team starts playing well, then he could be a guy to push you forward, especially with the low ownership. Hey,
Oh, definitely. Like you've got guys who can sort of hit your 40, 50, 70. But Ponga's the type of guy with a couple of teams in the run home who could hit like two 80s or an 80 and a 90 in one or two of those games in the run home.
All the good old days when he would hit the random ton there, 102, 101,
Yeah, so good.
2022, 2021. He hasn't hit one in a while, so maybe it's this year when he's fit and firing. Maybe it's against Penrith. No, unlikely. The only thing to look at there is just him against Penrith. We did see last year he was having just that ridiculous run, 71, 71, 17, and then went 92, 80 following that.
Uh,
So, and he scored a
one
try in
of
that Penrith game.
Yeah, one of my poor mates sold him and was just distraught for the rest of the year. He's like, nah, it's just a fake run because it had been only those 270s and a bit of inconsistency before that. Saw the
Oh, yeah.
17. Uh, it's a rough one, but yeah, this week is a tough buy. But like Garrick's also out. What have we got?
God,
He's
two in
probably the
15
best
mil.
option if you can swing buying him this week. I'm not totally against it, but it might not be as huge an upgrade as you were hoping for over the guy that's replacing him.
For sure. Two in 15 minutes. Obviously got injured in that one. In round 14, 2022, we had a 40. In round 7, 2021. Where else we got? One more. One more. Where are you? Panthers. Long time. 39.
2019, 39 at 5'8". There you go.
So
Maybe he hits his first 50.
is it going to happen? Yeah, maybe. Maybe, maybe. All right, mate. Let's just finish things off with our cheapies. Cheapie of the week. Is there a cash down that you think could work? I only kind of came up with Xavier Savage is going to play. Yeah, Savage is going to play every game.
Yeah.
All the others seem to have like a month runway in Stone Street and maybe a Casey McLean, all these types of guys. Anyone standing out for you under 350?
Not many, to be honest. If you're going cash down at this time of year, you want them to be cheap, cheap. So Declan, sorry, not Declan Casey, Casey McLean. Um, he's good. He could go on a run, but he's also over 300k now. And if you're gonna do that, why not go Xavier Savage? He averages like 10 or 15 points better with Fogarty in the team. And as soon as he was in, immediately hit a 40. So
Yeah.
I'm pretty happy with Xavier Savage is just about the best cheapie.
Okay. Anyone in the mid range? We've got guys like Trindle. We've got, what else we got in there? Good question. Good question, Jamie. Most of the guys are kind of
Yeah.
holds at the moment. You got Tungo. How
Like,
bad's he sick?
yeah, I think that there's not really many mid-range guys I'd be going for. To be more sort of the 600k guys that could be 50s, 50 averages more than the sort of 500k guys at this point. Trindle'd probably be, as you said, probably the only one. Maybe Marshu because of the Ponga factor, but that's also how do the Knights play. Maybe you don't go for it against Penrith this week.
Yeah, definitely. That's something I've been speaking about is that, potential for myself. I got 3 trades. Where are you at?
I think I've still got 5. Yeah, I've got 5. So
Okay.
a little bit up my sleeve, which will be nice.
Yeah, so
But
five's not
yeah,
too bad then. I was looking at like I've got Willison, I've got Samuel Afenu. Like if you had, I got 70 odd K in the bank. If you had that available, it's something you could use as a little bit of an upgrade from that guy that you think might average like 30, 35 to a guy that, like Trindle that could average near the 50 mark or, Dylan Walker at 567. Do you think that's worth it with 5 trades? And do you need 5 to do that kind of upgrade now?
I think you have to use, if you've got 4 or 5, you can probably use that last one of those mid-range guys, but you can't sort of make 2 trades to make something happen. Like if you've got a good straight swap, do it. Like at this point, I do think Fainu to Trindle is a decent upgrade, but it's semi-luxury at this point.
Yeah, makes sense. If you so you're at 5, if you just to say over the next few weeks you have a couple injuries, you replace them, you get down to 3, and you have 4 rounds to go. Is that a round where you could make an upgrade like that? Or would you still wait for an injury or something like that?
I would much prefer to trade red dot to green dot if I could at all help it. Maybe I'd do it on a buy. Like maybe I have a buy player who I could use to shift stuff around, but it's tough to sort of say because if we get through unscathed like this week and this TLT for just another week or two, then we can make some really interesting trades. But if someone gets injured and we have to trade them out and they're really highly owned, there's that trade gone. It's really tough to know which one's going to work out um, two weeks from down the track.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just 'cause just talking to a few people about it as well. And it's just like, how far can you go along? holding, and then where's the inflection point where making that 15-point upgrade is worth it, where there's not enough rounds left where it could really hurt you if you happen to get a couple more injuries and you end up with,
Yeah.
16 playing in the last round or something like that. Because I think now's too early, but maybe in a couple of
Yeah.
rounds it's close enough to that break even.
I'd agree with that. If you get it down to a trade a week, I think you can do stuff and not just hold on for dear life until the restings.
Okay, so you're almost there now, 5 and 6. Yeah, so maybe next week you could make one for that and go from there if things play out. Because yeah, it's the last thing you want is just to lose 2 or 3 in a week, and maybe you're not too strong in your 21 and you're in a bit of strife. Like we're just looking at my head-to-head side here, and it's pretty good outside of like it. Even Talangi, like he's going to have his decent weeks as well. And then Sipley, scored a try from dummy half on the weekend, and then you've got Howarth, who are really happy playing in our side. So it's a pretty strong 21. You'd be happy enough to play all of them in a pinch. So with 5 trades myself, I could get to next week and then maybe make an upgrade just because it
Yeah.
and it helps the 17. Or yeah, if you have a couple on a buy or something like that and you want to improve your 17 for that week,
Yeah.
yeah,
I
it's an
think
interesting
once
one.
if you hit over one trade a week, then you can sort of make that big upgrade. Like at the moment, the cheapest guy on your side is over 400K by the look of it.
Yeah.
And if you cash down to somebody like a Savage, potentially you could get a lot of value and move somebody up quite a big upgrade. Like you could pretty much turn Blore into Angus Crichton, although we love him after that big score the other week. So maybe not him, but yeah. So I think it's really player by ear, and I would say the one trade per round mark, if you hit over that, you can do stuff. If you are below that, you probably have to hold on. If you're at one trade a week, you can probably do stuff, but you've got to be careful with what you're doing.
Yeah, it makes plenty of sense there. Yeah, if you went Talangi down to Savage, it's 170,
That's
36 in the
probably
bank.
that's probably the sort of trade I would be thinking of making. So like Tulagi plus Fanu to like Murray and Savage sounds really nice, but then I'm on 3 trades, so
Hmm.
awkward.
Yeah, and if in this one it was Talangi down and Sipley, so you're getting a big upgrade out of that. Then there's the Manus in that range. Then at 600, that's wild that he's 600K. You can get an Eli Katoa, you can get a Harry Grant, a Papali'i. I think I can get up to about 650. So yeah, there's plenty of guys that would be a good upgrade, but maybe it's not now. Maybe it's in 2 rounds or it's in 1 round or something like that. Because
Yeah.
next week we've got Roosters, so just Tedesco in this side. You and I got a Tedesco and Watson to deal with. Some people are going to have Teddy, Crichton, maybe Watson as well. So yeah, it'll be an interesting one next week, and hopefully Cotter and Garrick are okay and they can come back with a
Mm.
bang.
Yeah, I think that's the way to go. If the only guy the only trades I'd sort of be making at this point, as you said, that inflection point probably needs to be later for a lot of the guys to move them on. But yeah, I would say the time has come where if a guy's definitely going to miss two and maybe misses more just out, if they're probably going to miss two, like possibly a Teddy or a Watson or a Cotter now with that
Mm.
injury, that's close, but depends how many trades you have. If you have 5 and you have Cotter, he would be on the list of things that I would consider. If I had 3 and I had Cotter, I wouldn't think about it.
That's me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool. So yeah, there are random people out there that are sitting at sort of 6, 7, 8 trades. So in that case, if you made 2 this week at 8, puts you down to 6, 6 in 5. So
Yeah.
that's not too
Heaps.
bad.
I had somebody message me today asking about trades, and he had 9. I said, bro, just send Cotter to Yo and Wishart to Ponga. Just don't even think about it.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah. Yeah, that'd feel good. That's for sure. And yeah, if you're at 6 right now, you make 1 this week, you're at 5 and 5. So I think it's a good little strategy to go off that you've come up with there. So awesome. I think we'll leave it at that, mate. Thanks so much for coming on. Go and enjoy some dinner, and I'm sure everyone really appreciates you jumping on as always. As we're getting to the back end, the trades are running thin. So our advice will become less and less relevant in the next few weeks, but that's how we love
It'll be a buy, hold, and hold.
it. By Holden, just listen to Jamie and Scoop's voice just for fun. Good stuff. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. We'll see you later.
Good one.